Good evening. As the vast blanket of stars wraps around our world, we find ourselves at the threshold of another tale. The evening calls out, not just with the lull of crickets or the gentle hush of a nocturnal breeze, but with the allure of an ancient story waiting to unfold. Tonight, as the hues of the day fade and give way to the tranquil embrace of nighttime, we embark on an odyssey. An odyssey that's not just about wandering seas, islands, and adventures, but also about understanding the deepest recesses of our hearts and souls. The world outside is winding down, the distant hum of life is settling into a soft murmur, and here we are, about to traverse through times ancient and tales profound. Before we tuck you in tonight, voyagers of the night sky, we have a small but crucial request. As your eyelids grow heavy and the soothing tones of sleepy voyages guide you to the realm of dreams, remember the peace, serenity, and comfort that we bring to you every night. Just as a lighthouse guides lost ships in the darkness, your reviews help other restless dreamers find their way to us. By leaving a review and sharing your thoughts on your experience, you are reaching out to other insomniacs lost in the night, guiding them towards restful sleep. Take a moment before you drift away to click on the Leave a Review button on your podcast app. Help us extend our galaxy of tranquility to all those who seek the solace of sound sleep. And once you've done that, feel free to slip back under the covers of our sleep stories, ready to be whisked away on another sleepy voyage. Remember, your stars light the way for others. Every review, every rating helps us create a bigger, more beautiful universe of peace and rest. Let the weight of the day slip away, release any lingering tensions, and find a comfortable spot. The embrace of your bed, the softness of your pillow, or the cozy nook of your favorite chair. Wherever you are, prepare to be transported into a world of myth and meaning. Gathered beneath the starry tapestry above, we journey back to the shores of ancient Greece, where legends were born and tales of bravery, wisdom, and consequence took shape. The night is young, and our voyage is just beginning. Let the serenity of this hour guide us as we dive deep into the annals of history to a tale that has withstood the test of time. Welcome, dear listeners, to another episode of Sleepy Voyages. Tonight we journey to ancient Greece, tracing the adventurous steps of Odysseus, a character not just of myth but of human essence, encapsulating the very ideals and flaws that reside within us all. In this chapter of his saga, we find ourselves drawn to a sun-soaked isle, an oasis where the land kisses the sea under the watchful gaze of the sun god, Helios. Imagine for a moment a hero and his crew, not just weary from battles with mythical creatures or encounters with enchantresses, but fatigued by the very nature of their journey, a journey that tests more than just physical endurance. It's a journey that tugs at their spirit, their willpower, and most crucially, their character. The tale tonight is not merely an account of adventures on the high seas or the challenges faced by a group of sailors. It is a reflection, a mirror held up to each of us, prompting us to question, in the face of severe trials and dire straits, where do our loyalties lie? To our immediate needs or to the larger code of ethics and morals that define us? In this narrative, desire intertwines with consequence. It's a potent reminder that often it's not the external battles that defeat us, but the internal wars we wage against our desires. Every choice, no matter how insignificant it may seem, carries with it a ripple effect, shaping not just our destiny, but the fate of those around us. Yet, despair and regret are not the sole emotions that color this story. For amidst these, there's a glimmer of hope, of redemption, and of finding one's way back, not just to one's home, but to one's true self. Prepare to embark on this journey, not just across the vast expanse of the Aegean Sea, but across the vast landscape of human emotion and introspection. Imagine, if you will, an island like no other. It's bathed in a radiant golden sunlight that seems as if it spun directly from the heavens. The light gleams over the sea, making the waters shimmer with reflections of molten gold, casting gentle, playful ripples on the sandy shores. The air is fresh, filled with the scent of salt from the ocean, mingling with the sweet fragrances of blooming flowers. Every gentle gust of wind carries the melody of birds, which, perched upon emerald canopies, sing tunes that tell tales of ancient times, love, and the dance of nature. It's a symphony of life in its purest form. Amidst this paradise there's a meadow, vast and verdant, where the grass is a vibrant green, swaying gracefully, seemingly dancing to the rhythm of the island. In this meadow, the most marvelous creatures graze. They are the divine cattle of the sun god, Helios. These are not ordinary cattle. Their coats shine brilliantly, reflecting the very sun that birthed them. Their eyes hold depths of wisdom, and their serene demeanor exudes an aura of the sacred. It's as though the essence of the sun is alive, breathing and walking on the very earth. It's clear that this island is more than just land surrounded by water. It's a sanctum, a realm that houses the sacred, a testament to the wonders that the world of gods and mortals can hold. It is upon this celestial backdrop that our hero and his weary crew will set foot, bringing with them tales of adventures past and hopes of calm and respite. This island, luminous and enchanting, will become a turning point in their Odyssey. It holds both the allure of the divine and the challenges of mortal choices. For now, though, let the gentle breezes and the harmonious birdsong carry you into the heart of this tale as we journey alongside Odysseus and his men. Picture a ship, its once strong and polished wood, now showing signs of wear from countless sea battles and harrowing adventures. It sails smoothly towards an island, its sails billowing with a gentle wind. This ship carries Odysseus, the celebrated Greek hero of Troy, and his loyal crew. Having faced giants, witches, and tempestuous seas, these men yearned for the comforts of home, for the embrace of loved ones, for the familiar sounds and sights of Ithaca. As their ship anchored close to this seemingly peaceful island, the fatigue was evident in every line on Odysseus's face and in the sunburnt skin and weary eyes of his crew. Their journey thus far had been long and arduous, with unpredictable challenges at every corner of the vast ocean. Each member aboard bore the weight of longing for the families they left behind, for the soft earth of their homeland beneath their feet, and in that particular moment, for nourishment. Hunger is an unusual beast. It doesn't merely gnaw at your stomach. It preys on the mind, amplifying every thought related to sustenance. Odysseus's crew, being far from the agricultural bounty of their homeland and the stocked larders of their homes, felt hunger's pinch even more intensely. Their provisions, which once seemed abundant, now lay almost exhausted. Salted meats turned scarce. Barrels of water ran disturbingly low, and their fishing nets, though cast many times, returned with lesser and lesser bounty from the sea. The island seemed like a godsend, an opportunity to replenish, rest, and restore their energies. But as they would soon discover, not all that glitters is gold, and sometimes even the most picturesque settings hide underlying trials. The island was bathed in a hue of gold, not just from the sunlight, but from the radiant creatures that roamed its meadows. Cattle, but not any ordinary cattle. These were the sacred cattle of Helios, the sun god. Their skin shimmered with a lustrous sheen, eyes reflecting the clear blue skies above, and their lowing was almost melodic, like a soft lullaby caressing the ears. Odysseus, with his years of wisdom and experience, sensed the sanctity of this place and the beings on it. Every tuft of grass, every ripple in the pond, every leaf that rustled, seemed to resonate with a divine aura, sanctifying every inch of that ethereal land. But what stood out the most, what demanded reverence, were the cattle, magnificent creatures with glistening coats, eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies, and an aura of an untouchable sanctity. Upon this island, Odysseus and his crew found themselves, their journey's weariness evident in their drooped shoulders and the lines etched deeply on their faces. The island's beauty offered a soothing balm, an inviting haven, but the pangs of hunger, ever intensifying, reminded them of their mortal needs. Odysseus, ever the wise leader, had knowledge privy only to a few. He remembered the cautionary words, the profound advice given to him by the blind prophet Tiresias and the nymph Circe. They had warned him about this very place, the island where the sacred cattle of Helios grazed. The message had been clear: these cattle were off limits. They were not mere livestock, but were revered sacred entities, symbolic of the sun god's favor. To harm them was to invite the ire of the divine. Gathering his crew, Odysseus conveyed this crucial directive. His voice, though gentle, carried an unmistakable firmness. We find ourselves guests upon this sacred isle. While the cattle may seem an answer to our hunger, they are not ours to claim. The gods have set boundaries for mortals, and this is one we mustn't cross. No matter the temptation, no matter the hunger, we do not lay a hand upon these creatures. Nods of understanding went around, each sailor acknowledging the gravity of the command, and for a while the crew abided, respecting their leader's word, holding on to the belief that the storm keeping them on the island would soon pass. But as is often the case, time, hunger, and desperation have their way of testing even the most resolute of resolves. It was clear that the island, though bountiful in beauty, was sparse in sustenance for these weary travelers. As the days merged into nights and nights into days, the once resounding promise to steer clear of the cattle seemed to grow fainter, overshadowed by the growing grumble of empty stomachs and the lure of a solution so close, yet forbidden. But for now, the line remained uncrossed, the sacred cattle remained untouched, and the test of faith and obedience continued. On the shimmering shores of the sun god Helios's island, Odysseus and his crew found solace. Bathed in the light of the sun and the sounds of the serene waves lapping gently, it would have seemed like a paradise for any weary traveler. But as time, that ever-persistent force, marched forward, the circumstances for the crew grew progressively dire. In the beginning, the beauty of the island provided them distraction. They would lie on the golden sands, letting the sun warm their skin, hoping to let the previous perils of their voyage fade into mere memories. Every so often, their eyes would catch the grazing of the divine cattle, their coats almost glistening in the sun's radiant glow. And while the island offered a sense of serenity, it provided little in the way of sustenance. You can imagine the dilemma Odysseus's crew faced. Here they were, starving, surrounded by a sea that denied them fish, and an island full of cattle they were forbidden to touch. The stomach's persistent growl, that gnawing feeling of emptiness, and the sight of food just beyond one's reach, can drive even the strongest of wills to desperation. Whispers started among the crew, hungry glances were cast toward the cattle, and the weight of their situation pressed heavily on them all. With each passing day, the line between adhering to a stern warning and the basic instinct of survival grew blurrier. As they looked around, the island that once seemed a haven began to morph into a trap. With limited options and growing desperation, the crew found themselves at a crossroads, a moment that would define not just their journey but their very characters. And it's in these moments, when hunger meets the human spirit, that true tales of resilience and temptation unfold. On the shimmering shores of the sun god Helios's island, Odysseus and his crew found solace. Bathed in the light of the sun and the sounds of the serene waves lapping gently, it would have seemed like a paradise for any weary traveler. But as time, that ever-persistent force, marched forward, the circumstances for the crew grew progressively dire. In the beginning, the beauty of the island provided them distraction. They would lie on the golden sands, letting the sun warm their skin, hoping to let the previous perils of their voyage fade into mere memories. Every so often, their eyes would catch the grazing of the divine cattle, their coats almost glistening in the sun's radiant glow. And while the island offered a sense of serenity, it provided little in the way of sustenance. Initially, their supplies seemed ample. They had dry meat, fruits, and some grains. The men would gather, share stories of home, laughter filling the air as they broke bread together. But as the days morphed into weeks, the food that once seemed plentiful now dwindled rapidly. Their once hearty meals grew meager, and the laughter that used to echo across the island was now replaced with a tangible tension. To exacerbate the situation, nature played its own part in testing the crew's mettle. The surrounding seas, which once invited them with its calm, grew stormy, making fishing endeavors near impossible. The men cast their nets, hoping for a bountiful catch, only to pull them back empty or with mere scraps. And while the sea grew angrier, the divine cattle grazed on, undisturbed and abundant. You can imagine the dilemma Odysseus's crew faced. Here they were, starving, surrounded by a sea that denied them fish and an island full of cattle they were forbidden to touch. The stomach's persistent growl, that gnawing feeling of emptiness, and the sight of food just beyond one's reach can drive even the strongest of wills to desperation. Whispers started among the crew. Hungry glances were cast toward the cattle, and the weight of their situation pressed heavily on them all. With each passing day, the line between adhering to a stern warning and the basic instinct of survival grew blurrier. As they looked around, the island that once seemed a haven began to morph into a trap. With limited options and growing desperation, the crew found themselves at a crossroads, a moment that would define not just their journey, but their very characters. And it's in these moments, when hunger meets the human spirit, that true tales of resilience and temptation unfold. On the enchanting island of Helios, bathed in golden light, a new day dawns. A fresh breeze flows through the air, causing the trees to rustle gently. The island's natural charm is truly mesmerizing, but beneath this idyllic scene, a deeper tension is simmering. The crew, a collective of weary men longing for the comforts of their homes, found themselves in the cruel clutches of hunger. Day after day, the hunger grew, gnawing at their insides, turning every thought into a tormenting reminder of their empty bellies. What once was a pleasant sojourn was now a daily battle against the powerful temptation that surrounded them. It wasn't the beauty of the island or its tranquil surroundings that tempted them the most. No, it was the unmistakable scent that wafted through the island's air. The aroma, so rich and inviting, seemed to dance on the breeze, whispering tantalizing promises of satisfaction and fullness. It was the scent of the sun god Helios's majestic cattle. To the starving crew, these animals represented something more, a solution to their agonizing hunger, a way to satiate the emptiness that consumed them from within. And as the days wore on, that mouth-watering aroma became increasingly irresistible. Each gentle moo, each swish of a tail, felt like a personal invitation to feast, to indulge, to forget their troubles and fill their bellies with the promise of delicious meat. It's easy to dismiss their desires as mere weakness, but hunger is a powerful force, one that can drive even the strongest of wills to the brink of desperation. And on this seemingly tranquil island, as the scent of the divine cattle grew stronger, the men's resistance waned, inching them closer to a decision that would forever alter the course of their journey. Odysseus, sensing the increasing vulnerability of his crew and himself, chose to seek solace and guidance in the embrace of the gods. Drawing away from the crew, he found a secluded spot where the whispers of the island's trees and the soft murmur of its waters allowed for contemplation. Kneeling on the soft golden sand, he beseeched the gods for strength, hoping that divine intervention might save his men from their burgeoning temptations. But hunger, when it grips, can muddle judgment, making the forbidden appear permissible. Eurylochus, one of Odysseus's trusted men, found himself ensnared by this very sensation. The bright allure of the cattle seemed to grow tenfold, their glistening hides and rhythmic munching igniting a fire of temptation that began to spread like wildfire among the men. Eurylochus, with eyes clouded by hunger, approached the crew. With each word, he painted a vivid picture of feasts and satisfaction. He spoke of the unyielding hunger that gripped them, saying, "Isn't it better to eat and live than to starve and perish? Can we not make amends later, offering the gods compensation for our desperate acts?" He rationalized, suggesting that survival was paramount, even if it meant angering the gods. To a starving man, the promise of sustenance can seem sweeter than any nectar, and thus Eurylochus's words found fertile ground in the hearts of the hungry crew. The atmosphere grew thick with anticipation, a mix of hunger and hesitation, as the men mulled over the decision that lay before them. Little did they realize that their choice would echo across the annals of history, a timeless testament to the strength and frailty of human nature. With Odysseus away in prayer, pleading to the gods for a solution to their predicament, the decision was made. A few of the cattle were chosen, and with heavy hearts but desperate hands, they were led away from the pasture. The unfortunate events that unfolded were a mixture of necessity and regret. The crew hastily prepared the meat, lighting fires which crackled and hissed as the aroma of searing meat rose into the air. Before long, the entire island was filled with the scent. It was intoxicating, a blend of herbs and roasting meat, drawing the crew into a state of temporary amnesia where they momentarily forgot their dire circumstances. Each bite was a blend of flavors, rich and filling, momentarily pushing away the guilt associated with their actions. The feast was a lavish affair, a stark contrast to their recent days of meager meals and dwindling hopes. There were no toasts to the gods, no prayers of thanks, just the sounds of contentment, relief, and the soft murmurs of men savoring what they believed might be their last good meal. But as the last embers of their fires died down, and the satisfied crew settled into sleep, none could shake off the feeling that their actions would come at a heavy price. The serene ambience of the island began to change as night approached. The sky, which once gleamed with the shimmering hues of golden orange and soft purples, slowly started to morph into a deeper shade, with a curtain of indigo and midnight blue stretching far and wide. The first stars began to twinkle, their subtle glimmers like silent witnesses to the events unfolding below. However, the celestial blanket above was not the only thing transforming. A certain tension began to pervade the atmosphere, making the air thick with anticipation. The gentle breeze which played with the leaves during the day started to carry a chilly undertone, whispering secrets of displeasure and wrath. If one were to observe, the very ground seemed to tremble subtly, as though the earth herself felt the foreboding atmosphere. The waves that were earlier lapping gently at the shores began to increase in intensity, crashing louder, almost as if conveying a message of their own. It wasn't just nature that sensed this shift. The crew, even in their satiated states from the feast, felt an unsettling feeling deep within. They shared uneasy glances, trying to shake off this growing dread. A few even muttered silent prayers, hoping their acts would be forgiven. This eerie atmosphere was not a mere coincidence. The island, after all, was the abode of the sun god Helios' sacred cattle. And it wasn't just any land, it was where divine entities watched over their cherished possessions. To disturb such sanctity was to invite the ire of the gods themselves. As the crew tried to find solace in their rest, little did they realize that they had awakened a force much greater than their understanding. It was a night that would forever remain etched in the annals of myths, a testament to the consequences of human actions when they tread on the domain of the divine. Their choices made in the heat of hunger, the transient joy from their feast, and the impending consequences of their actions would come together, setting the stage for a grand spectacle where the cosmos itself would respond. As the listeners wrapped themselves in their blankets, they might imagine the weight of that starry night, filled with silent judgments and the echoes of decisions made. The tale is far from over, and as the night deepens, so does the adventure of Odysseus and his men. The island, once bathed in serene beauty and golden sunlight, underwent a sudden transformation. The cattle, sacred to the sun god Helios, had met an untimely and tragic fate. And though the universe may at times seem indifferent, there are moments when even the gods cannot turn a blind eye. From his vantage point high above, Helios took in the scene. The smell of his sacred cattle, now transformed into a feast, wafted upwards. These were no ordinary cattle. They were immortal, gifts from the gods, glistening embodiments of the sun's power and light. Each morning they journeyed across the sky with him, illuminating the world below. But now they lay lifeless, taken by desperate men. Imagine for a moment watching something you cherish deeply being taken away in an instant. For Helios, it was a pain unparalleled, a pain that would demand justice. With a heavy heart, Helios approached Zeus, the mighty ruler of the gods. His words echoed a deep sorrow. "Mighty Zeus, the men accompanying Odysseus have done what was forbidden. They have taken away the very essence of what gave light to my days. They've slaughtered the sacred cattle, the very beings I hold dear. What has been done cannot be undone, but it is the will of every heart that justice be served." Zeus, with eyes reflecting the weight of his responsibilities, responded, "The order of our world, the very fabric of existence, relies upon respect and reverence, both for mortals and immortals. Actions bear consequences. Justice in its true form shall be met." Now, it's crucial to understand the dynamics here. When the gods of ancient Greece decided on a course of action, it wasn't capricious. Their choices were born from a balance between the desires of the heart and the wisdom of eternity. And for Odysseus and his crew, a storm was brewing on the horizon, one that would challenge the very core of their existence. Thus, the interplay between man, destiny, and divine forces continued, each thread weaving into the other, creating the tapestry of what we know as the epic of the Odyssey. Imagine for a moment the vast expanse of the open sea. The horizon where the sky meets the water stretches out, an endless canvas painted with deep blues and shimmering whites. There's a calm, a serenity in this picture, where one can hear the soft whispers of waves caressing the hull of a ship. It's a ship that has seen countless adventures and carries with it memories of lands far and wide, of monsters faced and challenges overcome. And as the first rays of dawn broke, it wasn't just a new day that was heralded, but also a reckoning. Above them, the once clear sky began to churn and roil. Clouds, dark as the night and thick as wool, blanketed the heavens. They moved rapidly, converging over the ship, casting ominous shadows on the waters below. The air became thick, electric, charged with tension and expectation. Nature itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting, watching. From these clouds, Zeus, the mightiest of gods, flexed his displeasure. His bolt, a brilliant streak of white-hot light, pierced through the sky, illuminating for a brief moment the entire seascape in its harsh, unforgiving glare. Lightning, in its raw, primal power, was the manifestation of divine wrath, and it was directed at the very heart of Odysseus's ship. The ship, with its seasoned wood and expert craftsmanship, stood no chance. The mighty bolt cleaved it, setting it ablaze, turning what was once a vessel of hope into a beacon of despair. The roaring waves, sensing the catastrophe, rose in fury. They crashed against the ship, pulling it under, claiming it as their own. One by one, the crew, the very men who had laughed and feasted, who had given in to temptation, were swallowed by the unforgiving sea. Their cries, their pleas, lost amidst the cacophony of nature's wrath. And yet, in this maelstrom of despair, a single figure emerged. Clinging to a fragment of his once mighty ship, Odysseus floated, surrounded by the vastness of the sea. Alone but alive, the weight of his leadership and the consequences of his crew's actions bore heavy on his shoulders. But in his heart, there was still a flicker of hope, a resilience that would see him through even this darkest hour. This moment, dear listener, is a testament to the delicate balance of choices and consequences, of leadership and responsibility. The ocean, vast and deep, hides in its depths tales of both hope and despair, and as Odysseus floated amidst its waves, he was about to discover yet another chapter of his grand journey. Odysseus, the great tactician and hero, found himself washed ashore, his weary limbs aching and spirit dwindling, on the shores of an unfamiliar land. This was Scheria, the island realm of the Phaeacians. The coastline stretched in a crescent, with fine white sands that seemed to shimmer under the generous touch of the sun. Here the seas were calm, almost inviting, a stark contrast to the tempestuous waves that had tossed and torn his vessel apart. The Phaeacians were a remarkable people, both in their nature and their way of life. They cherished the arts, music, dance, and storytelling, living in harmony with the land and the sea. Their cities were adorned with splendid palaces and gardens, where fountains spouted and songbirds filled the air with melodies. Upon discovering the unfamiliar figure of Odysseus, they approached with caution, but also with an innate kindness. Their eyes, while filled with questions, also held a spark of compassion. They saw before them a man, battered by fate and the elements, yet his very presence spoke of resilience and indomitable will. King Alcinous, the ruler of the Phaeacians, was renowned for his wisdom and fair judgment. His palace stood as a beacon, with its marble pillars and gardens that rivaled those of the gods. The queen, Arete, was equally revered, possessing a keen intellect and a heart known for its kindness. Recognizing the potential importance of their guest and acting on their natural inclination to aid those in distress, the Phaeacians took it upon themselves to care for this stranger who had so unexpectedly graced their shores. They offered him clothing, food, and the warmth of their hospitality, taking him to their palace and treating him with the respect befitting a guest. Odysseus, although wary from his past encounters, soon realized that he had landed amongst friends. The sincere generosity of the Phaeacians would play a pivotal role in rekindling the hope he had almost lost. Here, amidst the grandeur of Scheria, the songs of the bards, and the dances of the youth, Odysseus would find not just respite, but a chance to regale his incredible journey, to share his story and, in return, be gifted with the means to continue his voyage home. The people of Scheria, the Phaeacians, were known for their kindness to strangers, and they held true to that reputation. Their land was a haven, their homes were built with love, and their culture was one of unity and understanding. These were not warlike or aggressive people. They valued stories, music, and the art of hospitality. Amid their lush gardens and glistening shores, Odysseus found himself surrounded by a people who were genuinely interested in his well-being. Their care went beyond mere courtesy. They provided him with fresh clothes, food that would nourish both his body and soul, and a warm place to rest. The king of the Phaeacians, Alcinous, seeing the weariness etched deep into the lines of Odysseus's face, proposed an evening of entertainment. As night fell, the hall of Alcinous began to echo with the soothing strums of a lyre. A blind bard named Demodocus, highly esteemed in the Phaeacian court for his musical prowess, began to sing tales of old. It was an evening where music intertwined with history. But as fate would have it, One of Demodocus's songs was about the Trojan War, about the valor of the Greek heroes, and of course Odysseus himself. This stirred a profound emotion in our traveller. Tears streamed down his face as memories, both good and painful, resurfaced. Observing Odysseus's reaction, King Alcinous sensed there was a story untold, a voice that needed to be heard. Gently, he urged Odysseus to share his tale, to let the people of Scheria understand the weight of the journey he carried in his heart. Hesitant at first, Odysseus began recounting his adventures. From the fall of Troy and the trick of the wooden horse to his encounters with mythical creatures and tempestuous seas, he spared no detail. He spoke of Circe, the enchantress who turned his men into swine, of the haunting songs of the sirens, and of the treacherous whirlpools of Charybdis. His narrative was filled with peril, cleverness, hope, and despair. Yet, as he spoke, a transformation began. The act of storytelling became a form of healing for Odysseus. Each word released a bit of the burden he had been carrying. The attentive and empathetic ears of the Phaeacians offered him solace. They didn't interrupt. They listened, understanding that sometimes what a weary soul needs most is to be heard. And as the evening turned into night, Odysseus's tale wove a tapestry of human experience, of adventure and loss, of longing and resilience. The Phaeacians, moved by his narrative, realized that stories weren't just tales of old. They were bridges between souls, building connections and fostering understanding. In the heart of Scheria, a marvel was about to unfold. The Phaeacians, renowned for their craftsmanship and affinity for the sea, decided to bestow upon Odysseus a symbol of their unmatched maritime expertise, a ship. This was not just any ship, but a testament to the Phaeacians' symbiotic relationship with the ocean. Picture a vessel that spoke of ages past. It was assembled from the finest timber, the grain of which had witnessed countless sunrises and sunsets. Every plank, every nail, was positioned with purpose, ensuring not just sturdiness, but also a seamless harmony with the sea's undulating waves. The ship's prow rose with elegance, sculpted meticulously to resemble the sea gods that the Phaeacians revered. The sails, broad and white as driven snow, held the promise of harnessing the mightiest of winds, yet they also whispered tales of gentleness, promising a caress rather than a forceful pull. Within the confines of this ship, the Phaeacians installed benches, spaces for supplies, and all the intricate mechanisms that would make navigation smoother. While it was a spectacle of beauty, the ship was, above all, a marvel of functionality. But this was not just about gifting a ship. The Phaeacians offered something more profound, a promise. The leaders approached Odysseus, their voices filled with sincerity, declaring their intention to ensure his safe passage back to Ithaca. It was a vow, not made lightly, but with the depth of conviction that only those who understand the capricious nature of the sea can muster. They understood the longing in Odysseus's eyes, a yearning for home that resonated with their own deep bond to Scheria. Odysseus, for perhaps the first time in what felt like an eternity, felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. Here was a beacon of hope, a tangible path to Ithaca. As he stood at the harbour, watching the Phaeacians put finishing touches to the ship that would bear him home, he realized the depth of their generosity. For in the world of the Odyssey, true kindness was not just in grand gestures, but in understanding someone's journey and becoming an integral, positive chapter in it. The waters of the sea were as calm as a gentle lullaby, whispering promises of solace and comfort. With the expert craftsmanship of the Phaeacians behind its construction, the ship glided effortlessly over the gentle swells, cutting a sleek path through the azure depths. The sky above, painted with hues of soft oranges and purples, seemed to embrace the ship, guiding it tenderly on its course. Odysseus, standing at the bow, felt the rhythmic ebb and flow of the waves beneath. With each rise and fall, the weight of his many trials seemed to grow lighter, as if the sea itself was absorbing his hardships, pain, and sorrow. On the horizon, a familiar silhouette began to form. Ithaca, his homeland, the place he had yearned for through countless adversities. It was more than just an island. It was a testament to his spirit, his perseverance. Every tree, every hill, and every shoreline was imbued with memories and emotions, echoing back the tales of his youth, his family, and the life he once knew. As the ship drew closer, the details of Ithaca grew more distinct. Olive groves sprawled across rolling hills, their leaves shimmering in the golden light of dawn. Stone-built houses, though distant, seemed to gleam with an inviting warmth. Birds danced in the sky, their melodies harmonizing with the soft whispers of the sea, creating a symphony of homecoming. There, amidst the vast expanse of the ocean, Odysseus felt the true essence of home. It wasn't just the physical land, but the accumulation of experiences, memories, and emotions that tied him to Ithaca. The journey had been long, filled with monsters and gods, betrayals and alliances, but every challenge, every heartache was worth this very moment. It was a reminder that no matter how treacherous the voyage, the heart's compass always points to where it truly belongs. And for Odysseus, after battling Cyclops, resisting sirens, and facing the wrath of gods, that true north was, and always would be, Ithaca. Human desires are like flames, each varying in intensity and purpose. They warm our souls, fuel our ambitions, and light our path in the darkest of times. Yet they can also burn fiercely, consuming reason and blinding judgment. Desires at their core are neither good nor bad. They are a natural part of the human experience, motivating our actions and giving color to our lives. But it's essential to discern between the types of desires. Some emerge from genuine need, like the basic hunger for sustenance, while others are born of longing or greed. The challenge lies in recognizing when a desire shifts from being a guiding light to a consuming fire. By contemplating Odysseus's journey and the pivotal moments that defined it, we are encouraged to navigate our desires with wisdom, ensuring they lead us towards growth rather than destruction. Imagine the vast expanse of the ocean, an endless horizon where the sky tenderly kisses the waters. The gentle undulation of the waves creates a calming rhythm, each rise and fall in harmony with the world's timeless dance. Allow your breath to sync with this natural rhythm. With every inhale, picture the waves gently rising, collecting stories and mysteries from the depths below. And with every exhale, visualize those waves gracefully returning to the embrace of the sea, carrying away the worries of the day. The sun casts shimmering reflections on the water, creating a mesmerizing dance of light. Each sparkle resembles a moment, a memory, a dream. As the waves continue their dance, let yourself become entranced by this beauty, feeling the gentle embrace of the ocean's vastness. The soft, salty breeze, the whispers of the deep, and the calling of distant seagulls create a symphony of serenity. This is nature's lullaby, a soothing song sung just for you. Let yourself be anchored in this moment, feeling a profound connection with the ocean's depths, its limitless potential mirroring the boundless possibilities within you. Let the rhythm of the sea be your guide, bringing tranquility and peace to your heart and mind. As you breathe in harmony with the ocean's ebb and flow, embrace the feeling of being one with the world around you, letting the waves lull you into a state of deep relaxation and serenity. Imagine a place where the horizon kisses the sea, where the rocky shores stand guard against the vastness of the waters. Ithaca emerges from the azure depths, not as an imposing land, but as a comforting embrace, a beacon guiding lost souls. Odysseus had yearned for this sight, dreaming of its familiar landscapes during his countless trials. Ithaca was not just his home. It represented the end of his struggles, a haven where he could finally find peace. Let Ithaca become a symbol for you, a representation of your aspirations, the place where your heart finds solace. Everyone has an Ithaca in their life, a goal or destination, maybe tangible or intangible, where the journey might be filled with challenges, with moments of doubt, despair, and temptations. But it's the thought of reaching that personal Ithaca that drives us forward. Envision your own Ithaca. It might be a goal, a dream, or simply a state of mind. See its contours clearly, its undulating hills and shimmering waters. Let the warmth of its sun bathe you, comforting and rejuvenating your spirit. Feel the gentle breeze, carrying whispers of hope, perseverance, and the promise of homecoming. As Odysseus approached Ithaca, his heart swelled with emotions, joy, relief, and a profound sense of accomplishment. Let yourself embrace similar emotions. Whenever life's storms try to throw you off course, remember your Ithaca. Let it serve as your compass, guiding you, pulling you forward, reassuring you that every challenge, every storm, brings you one step closer to where you truly belong. Know that your journey, much like Odysseus's, is filled with purpose. With each experience you grow, you learn, and you inch closer to your Ithaca. Embrace the voyage, for it shapes you, molds you, and eventually leads you to the shores of your cherished destination. With that vision of Ithaca clear in your mind, feel a sense of contentment and gratitude wash over you. Secure in the knowledge that your journey has meaning and that your Ithaca awaits, let your mind and body relax further, sinking into a profound state of tranquility. Tonight, with the tales of the Odyssey still fresh, may you sail smoothly into this world, finding rest, comfort, and perhaps even a touch of ancient wisdom to carry into the dawn. In the vast expanse of our universe, tales such as these from ancient Greece weave intricate patterns that remind us of our shared human experience. Just like Odysseus, we often embark on our personal journeys, facing challenges, temptations, and sometimes the undeniable weight of our decisions. But isn't it heartening to know that at the heart of each tale, there's always the possibility of redemption, understanding, and the return to what we cherish most? Each night, as you lay down and pull the blankets over you, think of it as the gentle embrace of countless stories from the past. Let them cradle you, offering solace and understanding. The tales of Odysseus and countless others aren't merely stories. They are reminders of the resilience of the human spirit, of the innate kindness that exists in corners we least expect, and of the unwavering hope that every dawn brings. Remember, every night is a voyage, and every dream an adventure. Embrace this journey, for in dreams you'll find solace, inspiration, and warmth that transcends time. Rest now, voyager, and let the world of myths and legends be the soft lullaby that carries you into a night of peaceful slumber and enriching dreams. Good night.